Knowing how to create a high quality blog post quickly helps you stay consistent with your content output. So in this video, I'm showing you my agency's signature content interview process to help you whip up a blog post super quick. Hey Empire Builders, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Haley Dale and I am a content and sales funnel strategist helping you create more purposeful, productive, and yes, profitable content too. So if that sounds like something you're looking for, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below this video for value-packed videos just like this one every single Monday. Sometimes you need a blog post and you need it right away. Maybe your editorial calendar is reminding you that you're due to publish tomorrow, or maybe you owe a guest blog post to somebody else, or perhaps you just want to get a little bit ahead of your calendar so that you have some more content breathing room or can maybe even take a break. Are any of these ringing a bell for you? If you've been doing this online business thing and you've been blogging and creating content for a while, you're likely at some point going to run into a situation where you need to pull together something really quickly or just not publish anything at all. There are so many ways that you can pull together a blog post, and not just a crappy blog post, you can pull together a great blog post, options that are much quicker than sitting down and starting from scratch. However, there is one method that stands above all the rest for me, and that is content interviewing. Maybe you're wondering, what is content interviewing? Well, in my sales funnel and content agency, we work with a lot of brilliant clients within a wide variety of different niches and expertises. Our clients are truly the experts at what they do, and one of the challenges that we have faced was taking their know-how and translating their knowledge and expertise into polished and branding copy. So we started to use a process called content interviewing, and here's a little overview of how it works. We start by creating an outline for the blog post or the sales email, webinar, freebie, or whatever it is we're helping them create. And then we organize it into questions instead of your standard outline. We send these questions over to our clients ahead of time so that they can be mentally prepared. And then we direct them to treat this content interview like a podcast or a chat with a friend, whatever helps them relax, just be present, and ditch the stress of answering perfectly, because we still have a lot of opportunity for editing and copywriting. The content interview helps us gain relevant information that we need in the words our clients would use to describe it. And then we can send that recording for transcription and use it as a jumping off point to bring through to the copywriting. It brings together the best of both worlds because it allows us to create a ton of copy and content in a relatively efficient manner. Before we get started with the how-tos, I'm going to walk you through just a quick 5 reasons of why I love the content interview so much, this process. So number 1 is it helps you generate a lot of words really quickly. So just as like a word per time basis, if you are speaking words, it comes a lot quicker than if you were typing them all out individually or writing them by hand. So I love to write, but I don't always have time to sit down and write a really juicy blog post. So one of the ways that I can use the content interviewing technique is by interviewing myself using a tool like Otter or Rev Recorder, and then getting it transcribed, handing it off to a copywriter to turn into a blog post or an email or whatever we need. It is my ideas there, it's my outline, but I'm able to save a little bit of time by having somebody else turn that content. Number 2, it combines the power of pen and paper. There is no denying it. Multiple studies have shown that when we write something, we have 4 times the amount of idea generation that we would have when typing it. It allows us also to retain more information, think more creatively, and for the purposes of blogging, organize our thoughts. That is the power of pen and paper through the content interview process. We are creating an outline, which we can do by hand on a piece of paper, and then we are turning it into speaking notes and fully leveraging the power of pen and paper for the process of coming up with our ideas and organizing those ideas. So that's the pen part. Now, it also combines the efficiency of speaking because it is a lot easier, a lot quicker to answer a question just by opening your mouth and speaking it than it is to type up your answer. That is one of the reasons why you see tools like Voxer or Loom working so well. It's much easier to express yourself and explain your ideas when you're just talking to someone versus having to type it up up. I know for myself with my team, I can spend 30 minutes obsessing over the perfect way to explain how to do something versus just opening up Loom, sharing my screen, and explaining myself in a 2 to 3 minute video. So that is really why this method is so powerful, because it combines the power of both of these two methods, speaking quickly and power of pen and paper to organize your ideas. The third reason is that it's super, super flexible. I love that you can either do it solo, you can rope in a friend, a partner, a spouse, someone on your team to ask you these questions and have a discussion with you, or you can do it yourself as well. So this is one of the reasons why there is so much value in the work we do with our clients. We're strategic, right? We're not just blindly asking you questions and leaving it all up to you to answer. We can poke and prod and expand upon your answers so that you can come up with, so that you give us what we need to come up with a really great piece of content or copywriting. Number 4 is the speaking practice. So the other thing I love about this content interview process is that it's such a great skill to have the ability to articulate verbally your thoughts and processes. So even if it feels completely unnatural at first, even if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just not great at that head to mouth connection, it's a safe opportunity for you to develop those skills, which will help you in interviews and podcast interviews and summit videos down the road. It is a great skill to have to be able to articulate your ideas and articulate them well. And then finally, number 5, there is a ton of opportunity for revision. So when you are speaking something, you don't need to about getting it perfect, because we ask you the questions, we prod around, we can send it away to be transcribed, then it can be edited, then it can be edited again. There's a ton of opportunity for revision. So even if you don't say it perfectly, that doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of content is going to be less than, because it goes through all of these phases of revision and editing. So it gives you plenty of opportunity. So even if you're feeling like when you're doing this content interview process, ooh, I said that really badly, or I didn't express myself very clearly, that is fine. Just continue on, because you are going to be able to edit it down the road. So now that we've covered the why, now we want to talk about the how. And there are a handful of steps that you want to take to do this solo content interview process for yourself to come up with a high quality blog post. Step number 1 is to set the intention. So whenever I'm setting the intention for a blog post, I like to answer a few questions. Number 1, what is like the working topic? What is the working title for this blog post? I don't need to have it perfectly in headline format, but I do need to have a general sense of what this post is about. Then I ask, what is the purpose of this blog post from the perspective of my reader? So what are they going to get out of reading it? And that is imperative when we come to creating your outline, because we need to know what purpose we're trying to fulfill from their perspective so that we can deliver on that promise. So say, for instance, I am Meta, right, creating the blog post version of this video. It would be something like to teach people how to use the solo content interview process for themselves. And then when I'm creating my outline, because I know that purpose, I can think about, well, what do they have to know? And then another question I asked during the setting the intention phase would be around, what is the purpose for me? So is there a specific call to action that I'm leading up to? Do I want to invite someone to download a freebie or sign up for something, or position your paid offers? So think about, where you want to lead people. What is that call to action at the end going to be? Because we need to make sure that if you have a specific call to action in mind or a specific purpose in mind, that you are building the bridge in the post as you go, so that call to action doesn't seem like it comes from left field. We need to make sure that everything is interrelated and connected. Then step number 2, I'm going to decide on the questions that the post is going to answer. So I take specifically that purpose for my reader, and I think about, in order to accomplish that purpose, what does this post need to answer? What questions? So again, for instance, let's get a little meta, and I'm writing this blog post, how to use this content interview process. So if I think about the questions, it would be things like, why do I love this content interview process? What are the benefits of it? And that's really setting the tone and setting the context. It might also be like, where have I used the content interview process? Being the bridge or the intro. Then in terms of the specifics, am I promising I'm going to teach you how to use this content interview process? because I need to break down each of the steps. So I need to be clear on what the overarching process of this is. So each one of those would form its own section and have questions. Like, say, for instance, this one is step 2, decide on what post the questions. How to decide on what questions the post will answer, that sort of thing. Then a conclusion, what is my call to action? How am I going to wrap and summarize this as well? So step number 2, just to recap, is to think of your questions that the post is going to answer and organize them into sections. Step number 3 is to add your answer notes. So because you have your questions already, I want to challenge you to stick to only 2 to 3 bullet points of your speaking notes. How are you going to answer that question? So if you ever get like a podcast interview and they send over questions ahead of time, you can write down a few notes and it helps you still, keeps you on track, make sure you're mentioning the things that you want to mention, but it stops you from sounding robotic, writing everything out. So we want to do the same idea with this content interview. So for each of the questions that you have, write 2 to 3 bullet points of things that you want to remember to say. Step number 4 is to record yourself. So I want you to either open up your phone, open up Zoom, you can record yourself there. You can also record yourself on Rev online tool, like they have a voice recorder. You can do it a lot of different ways. You can also do it in Otter. There's a ton of different ways to record yourself, but there's no substitute for this part. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask the question, because when you get it transcribed, those questions that you have there are going to be great anchor points and reference points to organize your transcript after you get it back. So repeat the question and then answer it, right? And just like I said, there's a ton of opportunity for revision and editing here. So if you don't say something perfectly, that is fine. You'll pick it up during one of those editing passes. My tool of choice for content interviewing myself is Otter, because it is free if you use it up to a certain number of hours per year, or you can do the paid version and have unlimited time to use Otter for. Related to this step is also sending your recording for transcription. So there's a few different options with transcription. So with Otter, it's going to edit it as you speak, right? So that's how Otter works. It has an AI that it detects what you're saying and puts it in. But the one caveat to that is it's far from a perfect transcript. So if you want to lessen the amount of editing that you have and have things be more formed into sentences and true to the actual words they are, I would recommend actually sending it to Rev, which is going to be a little bit more expensive, but your options there, right? If you want less editing, go with Rev. If you want more editing and you want it for free, go with Otter. Another one in the middle there would be Temi, although I find Otter and Temi just about the same when it comes to the quality of the transcript. Step number 5 is to organize your transcript. So once you get it back, either right away if you've done an AI version, or in 24 hours if you've done a person version using something like Rev, get back your transcript, and I want you to open up the Word doc or copy that in. And what you're going to do is you're going to organize, open up a doc, and you're going to copy and paste over your transcript, and you're going to organize it into the different sections. Now, when I said we were repeating the question in the recording, that was so you can turn those into headers and have those be markings of different sections in your transcript, right? In your blog post that you've copy and pasted over. So that's the first thing you want to do, is just organize that transcript into the different sections and work on some of the formatting so that way it's easy and ready for step number 6, which is to edit your blog post. So step number 6, which is to clean up your transcript. So you're going to go through and read all of the paragraphs, read all of the sentences, and you're going to clean up mistyped words. You're going to clean up like anything that doesn't make sense. You're going to shorten the paragraphs, shorten the sentences, and just go through and basically do a cleanup of the transcript so that it's more accurate to what you meant. You can also, in this opportunity, if you had to restart over again, or if you had to repeat yourself, or if you found yourself just muddling an explanation, you can clean it up there or cut it out. So this is that stage where you're cutting things out, you're cleaning it up, you're checking that it was the right words that you said. Something that's helpful here is listening to the transcript, listening to the recording while you're editing the blog post. That can also help you be like, remember what you meant by that section. Step number 7 is the editing process. So now that you're ready, you have nearly a finished blog post, we need to go through the magic of editing phase. And I have 4 phases that I do when I'm editing any piece. And when we're doing this content interview process, we do it the same way. So we have editing pass number 1, which is to go through and edit for clarity. So we go through each section and make edits based on the following questions. So does this section make sense? Are there any spelling or grammatical errors? Are there any alterations alternative words that would fit better? Does it just need to be smoothed out, the sentences and sections, so that it flows better? Editing pass number 2 is editing for voice or personal branding. So we want to go through each of the sections of that blog post and ask these questions, right? Does this sound like me? What can I do to make this sound more like myself and more branded? Where can I add in some personality? So that is the personality pass, and where can we add that in? And then editing pass number 3 is all about editing for emphasis. So when we're writing for online, it comes down to a lot of formatting decisions. So instead of having huge, long walls of text, we need to break it up so that people can easily read it online. And this means like adding in bullet points, adding in more headers, adding in like different formatting elements to guide the eye to the main ideas. So I like to use things like bolding. I like to add in more headers and subheaders, bullet points wherever possible, numbers to organize the ideas. But you want to go through each of those sections and ask yourself, like, how can you emphasize what's most important in each of these sections with formatting? So maybe bolding, italicizing, changing the font, the color, highlighting, etc. Where can you add more headers and subheaders to break this section up? Where can you shorten your paragraphs and sentence to make them punchier and shorter? And where can you add more bullet points or lists so you can make this section easier to scan? So go through your sections and ask yourself those questions. And then finally, the final editing pass is I like to try to put it away for a day and then come back to it with either fresh eyes or hand it off to someone else who hasn't been staring at it for hours to get me an extra opinion on it. And I just go through, read everything through, and make final changes. So by the time you're finished these 4 editing passes, you're going to have a really strong piece of writing that you're going to be really proud to go off and so are you ready to try the content interview process for yourself? Tell me in the comments, and if you want more videos like this one, click on the next video on your screen and make sure to subscribe down below this video for more value-packed videos just like this one every single Monday.